Hello! Yes, my current editing computer is getting on the slower side. This is a bit of a problem because as I do specialise in camera or DP work, most of the time I am creating a video, so I am filming and I am editing it as well. The current computer, well, it's not fast, I think that's how I describe it. It was really good when I got it about 2 years ago, and it could keep up with what I was doing, but now that I'm shooting way more stuff with the YouTube channel and with promo things and just other projects I'm doing in my own time, and also I'm doing more colour grading, the actual editing that I'm doing is getting more advanced, and the current Hackintosh just can't quite keep up. For those of you that don't know what a Hackintosh is, it's basically a Windows PC that is running Mac OS X. That's about as reliable as it sounds. Although when I first started using the Hackintosh, it was running OS X El Cappuccino, and it was pretty good then. There weren't really any stability problems at all. The problem started when I upgraded to OS High Sierra. The reason why I did that, and the reason why I can't just go back to El Cappuccino, is because Final Cut Pro X 10.4 came out, which gives so many improvements with the colour tools and other things as well. But unfortunately, you have to have Sierra or later to use it. So for now, I am stuck with a slightly unreliable computer, shall we say. Whilst the stability and the reliability of the computer is the main problem, it is a little bit underpowered now for the stuff that I am doing. It has a 5th generation i5, 16GB of RAM and an internal 1TB hard drive. Notice no GPU. This is because the last Hackintosh that I built did have a GPU, but there were certain weird graphical glitches that I was not a fan of. They were strange things. It didn't really get in the way, but it was just annoying because you never quite knew what it was going to do next. But it didn't crash that often, unlike this Hackintosh. This Hackintosh has a variety of things that can cause it to crash, including opening a project in Final Cut Pro X, playing back a project in Final Cut Pro X, opening compressor, or trying to do basically anything in Motion 5, or trying to play back a video in Safari. As you can imagine, these are things that I do fairly often, so the consistent crashes do get a little bit wearing and they do drain my motivation sometimes. But I don't want to rant on too much. To be honest, I can deal with it until I get a new editing computer. Talking of new editing computers, I've been having a big think, or a large think about that. Long think. I don't know what the correct term is, but I've been thinking about it. So far, I've come to the conclusion that I think I'm gonna stick with a Mac. Not another Hackintosh, a genuine Mac. I had a look at the iMac Pro, and it looks amazing. It also looks pretty expensive, so maybe not. The Mac Mini is a little old, so also maybe not. MacBook Air, again, no. And then there is the MacBook. Now, on paper, the MacBook looks like it should not be an editing computer and it should be let nowhere near Final Cut Pro X. But I have seen various tests editing 4K footage and the MacBook was able to do surprisingly well. It even just about handled some 8K and 6K raw red footage, which is quite impressive. Now, I'm certainly not saying that I am going to get a MacBook, but I'm saying that it's a possibility. I think that the far more likely outcome is that I'm going to get either a MacBook Pro or an iMac, and right now I'm a bit torn between the two. Yes, the iMac is wonderful with its 5K 27-inch Retina display. I would really like that. It would be so nice to have a reasonably colour accurate monitor, unlike my current monitors, which were £100 off Amazon. Something tells me that in the professional film world, colour grading isn't done with monitors that were £100 off Amazon. And of course the iMac would be more powerful than the MacBook Pro as well. I imagine that I'd be buying basically the top end of either the iMac or the MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro on the other hand is of course a laptop, so it is portable. Now, whilst I do most of my editing at home, well, I kind of have to because I don't have a working laptop that can edit things. If I were to have a MacBook Pro, I could at least not have to edit everything at my desk. We have quite a nice backyard with a table and some chairs and a swing seat, and I could go out there in the summer and edit there. Also, I can edit in other places as well if I have to get the train into London, or if I'm on set and things are a bit quiet, I could start importing the footage into Final Cut Pro and I could start going through and organising it. Because I'm not doing anything particularly crazy, I am sure that a high-end MacBook Pro could easily handle everything that I'm doing, and I wouldn't need the extra power from the iMac. It's likely that the next camera, or the next major upgrade to the C100 Mark II, is going to be a C200, which, whilst that can shoot in 4K RAW, both a MacBook Pro and an iMac should be able to handle 4K RAW no problem. But the other thing that I do is Blender. Blender is a 3D CGI program which can do modeling, animation, rendering, all sorts of things. And that can kill basically any computer. But I figured that Blender isn't a particularly big part of what I do now, so it shouldn't be a big defining factor in which computer I buy. If I get better and better at Blender in the future, then of course I could always get a 12 or whatever high core count iMac Pro and use that. That makes me think that maybe a MacBook Pro is a better idea, because I don't want to be buying a new computer and then replacing it within a year or two with an even more powerful computer. That doesn't seem like a good use of money. I have briefly considered switching to Windows. Pretty briefly, because what would I use? You can't get Final Cut Pro X on Windows, so I would be stuck with either Adobe or DaVinci Resolve. Now, I don't want to turn this video into a Mac versus PC battle or which editing program is best, but whilst these are both good pieces of software, neither of them work for me personally as well as Final Cut Pro X does. Adobe has so many tools, with Premiere, After Effects, the whole bundle, so many tools. Pretty much anything you could want to do, there is a tool in Premiere or After Effects or whatever to do it. That does mean that they are a bit hard to learn, and I do find them a little bit cluttered, and I'm not such a big fan of the timelines either. DaVinci Resolve I found easier to use, and of course it has the best color grading facilities out of any NLE. But again, I still find Final Cut Pro X so much faster for me with my style of working. So I think it's very unlikely that I'd be buying a Windows computer. Either way, I have plenty of time to think about it because I'm very unlikely to be buying a new computer before September or November. And the reason behind this is that there will be a keynote in September or November or both, where new 6-core MacBook Pros and 6-core iMacs should be announced. Of course, 6 cores is much better for editing, and they shouldn't be that much more expensive either, because Intel is now having to compete with AMD Ryzen. Basically, if you're not into computers, the MacBook Pro and the iMac should be getting a lot more power within the next few months. So it really doesn't seem like a good idea to buy a MacBook Pro or an iMac now, and then have it made pretty much obsolete in November. So that is my editing computer rant over for now. Now I've got to go and edit this video on my slightly slow computer, but it is fine. Do not worry, I will manage, and I'm sure I will be buying a new editing computer fairly soon. Well, November, but that's reasonably soon. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing so as not to miss any new videos. See you later.